Frank J. Avella with the Contending. Joachim Trier's transcendent film Sentimental Value has been nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. I'm so happy to have the Oscar-nominated writer-director here, as well as his Oscar-nominated editor, Olivier Bugge Coutté. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hey. And congratulations. Tell me about the Academy luncheon, first off, because that was yesterday.
Wasn't that moving, Olivier? I mean, I've been there once before with Worst Person in the World, and what's awesome is it's egalitarian and it's like everyone's there, and on the same stage, we're all stepping up, being taken pictures of. They call our names individually, and someone that did a short film and someone that did a great job on sound mixing, and Steven Spielberg and us, and everyone's allowed to stand there together for a beat and just take in that, our peers thought we did an okay job, and that's a great moment.
Yes, I agree. I wish I could say that I tried it many times before, but I haven't. But I enjoyed it.
But let me say one more thing, since this is like fresh in our experience from yesterday. As a director, I know that I wouldn't be nominated as a director if it wasn't for all of the wonderful colleagues and people that I saw one after one go on that stage, the actors, the producer, my co-writer Eskil, and then Olivier, who I mean, dude, like I've worked with you since we were in our early 20s. I met you at the European Film College for a year.
Mid-90s.
And then we both got into the National Film TV School that only takes 6 directors and 6 editors and so forth in the UK, which was a bit of an ordeal to get in. And we both got in the same year and done short films together, and all the 6 features that I directed.
Shared a house.
Yeah, we lived in a house share in London together for a while there as poor students. And I mean, so to see you, man, be nominated yesterday, it was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of a sweet feeling.
And you know what? It's so great that Olivier did get recognized, because quite often in this particular category, we get what's flashiest edited. And Sentimental
I'm so
Value,
happy you say that.
Yes, it is so brilliantly put together that I just think it's great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I agree. I think it's I mean, we'll get into it, but I think there's sometimes the misconception that it's only action sequences where the editor has to be good. And I think human interaction, drama, acting, all of that has to do with editing also. The nuanced way of syncopating, not doing a shot reverse in the scene, that you stay on the listener sometimes more than the person talking, and getting that rhythm right, or how you actually structure thematically a whole narrative can be tricky. I feel every time he saves my ass, so I'm very happy that you got recognized, Olivia.
Well, I've seen the film 3 times now, and it's just incredible watching a movie that has been made by artists that you can feel love the craft and aren't afraid to push the boundaries.
Great. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're also messing with meta, the flashbacks, the narrative form, voiceover. I think it's incredible, and the fact that you guys have been collaborating since your short films, along with Eskil. What is the magic here that works?
I think that the main thing, if I can answer first, then you can answer afterwards, Joachim. I think the main thing is that, first of all, we share a lot of taste in music and film. We analyze drama and acting very much the same. And then most importantly is that over the years we have built a room of trust. And that's the number one thing that enables us to take chances and go down different paths. If as an editor you don't feel that you are 100% trusted by your director, maybe because it's the first time you work together, or because you didn't solve a sequence that is complicated, you might be nervous and then just stick to what is the easy way to do it. But with Joachim, I always feel that I can say to him, can you just give me 2 hours? I just want to try something. It might go absolutely nowhere, but let me at least try. And then it might be a stepstone to go somewhere else, or maybe it was completely wrong. But I feel that trust in the room, that's the number one important thing between us. All these years have given this work relationship.
Anything to add, Joachim?
No, I also feel that trust the other way, and the same thing that I sometimes have a need to try something. Maybe there was even an old idea. I just need to see it to make sure that we move on to a better idea or something, or a sequence where I feel we haven't. I don't like the word perfection, but optimized it. That we have turned all the stones, and this is the version that will play the best in the film as it is. And sometimes, as a director too, we're under time pressure. And even though I have final cut, it's never a conflict with anyone. Like, I listen to everyone, and we always push ourselves, but we have some time limits we want to reach. We don't want to edit a film forever. And you feel when it's starting to close, and you've explored most things, but once in a while, there's also, you feel guilty as a director going to an editor saying, I know we said we were happy with this, but I feel we got to push it one more. And it's a bit like, okay, we're going to open that one up again. Sure, it's going to take a couple of days, man. Olivia is always my friend. Like, sometimes we even hug. He goes, okay, let's go. Like, and I can do that because we trust each other. And you won't be mad at me if we then go back. But I need to. You said something on the first film we did, Olivier, Reprise, 20 years ago. Almost. So you said something along the lines that as an editor, I'm not only trying to finish the film, I'm finishing, and I might get the wording wrong, so correct me, but I'm also resolving the relationship that the director has to the material. Like, you need to feel try your stuff so that we know that you can leave it and say, I did it the best I could. And that's a psychological dynamic.
I always ask myself when I finish the edit of a film and the film is the way it is, I always say to myself, why didn't I do that the first day? Now it seems so obvious that this is the way it should be done. But it's impossible. Even if I had the idea, or if Joachim had the idea, if someone had the idea that this is how the film should be, and it's impossible, because the process of going through, and the grief of losing scenes, and things are changing, and the joy of seeing new things come out of the ashes of the other things that burn down. You have to go through that process to be able to accept or love the film, or the film that as it is at the end. So it's impossible. You can't see that final film on the first day of the edit.
Olivier, take me through. Tell me, where does your work begin? Because Joachim has talked a lot about his collaboration and where the writing starts. But I'm curious, do you come in early on? Take me through the process.
I did in the first couple of projects. I read. I didn't. I don't come in, but I read the scripts from the first versions up until the last shooting draft on the first films, and realized that my vision on the material was completely blurred when I got to the edit. So I decided, I decided to not read the script until the final shooting draft is there, and that's after I've signed the contract with the producer. So I'm just taking a leap of faith and jumping into not blowing it this time. So I read the script just before the shoot, if I have anything to add, and I often don't. And then I start editing a week after they shoot, and Joachim comes to the edit suite a week after end of shoot. And my goal is always to try to have some sort of assembly. That might be some sequences that I'm not able to complete because they're complicated montage sequences, and sometimes they're just left with one shot or 2-3 shots to say that here's a scene. But my goal is always to try to aim to have some sort of assembly 2-3 weeks after the end of the shoot, because then you know what animal you have in front of you.
That's fast.
And sometimes you go into details about some scenes, but it makes a big difference when you can suddenly see the beginning and the end.
Joachim, I have to ask you, after The Worst Person in the World, which is one of my favorite films, was there pressure on you with what would be next? And did you already know what you wanted to work on next?
I didn't know. I had some ideas around Renate Reinsve as an actor and an idea of sisters. There was something percolating, but I didn't know. And I don't know until I sit down and write with Eskil and I kind of get it all out on the table. And how do you say, I kind of, it's a strange process. You start feeling ideas and they're kind of over there, and you shouldn't go on a date with them unless you know you have time to really figure out what it is, or it'll just be like a fleeting thing that disappears. It's really important to have time and every day. I don't do it between other stuff. I say this is the writing year, and for now we've written 6 screenplays together, Eskil and I, for feature films. And I've directed those 6 films. We have nothing in a drawer. It's like, what do we want to do now? And because I'm very close with Olivier, often at the end of the process, he's also like, yeah, this is that stage of life we're talking about. In this case, the mortality of parents, having children, being that middle generation between knowing we don't have eternity with our parents, also having started, in my case, later than Olivier, raising children. So we could tell this multi-character perspective story better than we could maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago even. So there's that stuff going on. But
I
I
remember when we
yeah,
were finishing the edit of The Worst Person in the World, and we were actually doing one of the last scenes when she has become a photographer. And you said to me, "Wouldn't it be great to make a film with three daughters in a
yeah,
house?"
yeah. That's
And I
true.
said, "Wow,
It's
yeah."
true. No, that's
And
true.
then it was, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. It's true. It's true. We had 3 sisters in the beginning, and then one was removed, and then Rachel, the character of Elle Fanning, came in, like as a substitute daughter, like as a synthetic daughter that Gustav cast in this film in a way. So you're absolutely right. But I think so. Just your question about pressure, Olivia's absolutely right. These things that started working in our minds, but there's always pressure to make a film from first and then doing a second film. That's the biggest pressure in the world. And then that went okay with Oslo August 31st. And then a third picture, I always feel it. And there's a privilege to people caring, like people expecting, having starting to build a rapport with an audience is a big, big privilege. I feel we have kind of a band that keeps doing new albums and people keep coming back, and whether someone likes the third or the fifth or the first album better, they keep coming back, and we're grateful for that.
Speak a little bit about getting back to the Oscars for a minute and just award season in general. It's become this behemoth and it kind of takes over your life. How has it been with you? Because Worst Person in the World, you had a screenplay nomination. This time you have 9 nominations and you have the BAFTA nominations and all of it starting with Cannes. How has that been to navigate?
I think the main challenge for me, who's been on the road a bit more than Olivia, it's just been I made a film about a kind of absent father who was a director, and I really don't want to be that. And I have 2 young daughters now, so it's just like, as film people, we're pretty good at managing time and structure and travel, but it's been a lot of traveling, but it's happened alongside the process of getting the film to an audience in theaters in countries around the world. So that makes it also worth it on just knowing that we are meeting an audience in a format that people feel is vulnerable, the theatrical that we've always pushed for. All our distributors around the world are supporting the theatrical experience of this film before all the other places you can see it. So it feels like it has value on many levels. And then now with these nominations, it's been extraordinary, and we feel we already won. Honestly, it's never happened for a Norwegian film to
Yeah.
win an Oscar, even. Well, not even. I mean, there's been a few nominations for international, but this is unheard of. And I think for Nordic films, is also the record in all time of a Nordic film from the Scandinavian countries to have this many nominations. And again, it's not sports, but it's just saying by this stage, we haven't been to the Oscars yet, and we'll be grateful whatever happens. But our
Absolutely.
colleagues, our peers have stepped up and said, "Hey guys, you did something good," and that means the world to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I
You
want
have
to.
you having the DVDs and the posters behind you is everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's extraordinary work. I need to ask you guys about the ending because for me it was perfect. Much like the ending of another Oscar-nominated film this year, Hamnet, it brought life and art and life and hurting and healing and all of that together so extraordinarily. Did you know that was your ending when you first wrote the screenplay?
I think that was one of the few things that we knew all along and we stayed with was the ending. A lot of things have to change place in a film. A lot of things have to be removed because it's overly told, over clear. You want to leave room for the audience to get involved, you know. So, but the ending was the moment when Eskil and I in the writing room knew that we had a film we really wanted to make. I'm very proud of the ending, and I'm also very proud of the scene with the sister that comes very towards the end.
Yeah.
But it's also been stress tested by Olivier because Olivier is not cautious about being straight with me, and also when Eskil comes in. I mean, Eskil leaves the process a bit after when we shoot and we start edit, but then he comes in toward the latter half of the editing process with his perspective. And I think we all agreed that the end of it was actually something we were quite pleased with.
And the ending was one of the first scenes that I actually cut. I cut the ending. I mean, I had worked on many scenes, but Joachim hadn't seen it. And then I had worked on the beginning, and I worked on the end. And then I called up Joachim, and he was standing in the gym, and I said, "Oh, you gotta watch this." And he hadn't seen anything yet, so we went on FaceTime video, and I showed him, and he was standing, and people behind him like lifting weights, and he was sweaty. And I showed him the beginning with the dancing girl music on, and I showed him the end, and Joachim just went, "Yes, now we just have 2 hours in the middle that we need to solve."
Well, let's speak a little bit about that because okay, you put a cut together that you satisfies you. Who do you show it to other people? Do you rely on your gut as filmmakers? And I'm curious, what was the first cut? Like, how long did it run?
First cut was
So
3.5 hours, and the final version is 2 hours without the credits.
a little bit
And
more. I think it's the 2.6 or something, right?
two six,
Like,
isn't that with
and then
credits?
then you have credits, so it's like 2.15 now or something. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, something. Okay, yeah.
No, but close
Uh,
to you're right.
I mean, I would say in the beginning of our career, we took a long time before we showed anything to anyone. Also, because the toughest audience you can have is other students at a film school. They will just watch your film, and then they will get up and then say, "Oh, you're pretentious," and they will just leave. So that you get the beating from the film school. So in the beginning, we took a long time before we showed anything. But I think that now we agree on. Obviously, we have to get through the first assembly cut. Then we want to go from the assembly to something, let's call it a first cut, but at least an assembly that works better. But then I think we agree very much on, we like showing it to people. I don't know if it's early on, but we like getting the some of those reactions early in the process.
Yeah,
Isn't it true, Joachim?
I know. I agree. I think that we feel confident about showing it to a lot of people because we are open about our insecurities and we know it's going to be a
Yeah,
lot of work. And we got to be very cautious of how we listen to the feedback. And that's a whole rabbit hole to go into how you have to be cautious. Sometimes people will give you good advice, and the solution isn't what you should listen to, but their analysis of what's not working is very important. And maybe that's what you need to listen to. And that can be painful. But I think it's very constructive and wonderful. And I think we do a few different things. We do three things. We show it to individuals that we trust, people we worked with for a long time. I remember someone like, for example, Mike Mills came in and said some really smart thing. It was a one-on-one conversation, very just going through
mm,
everything. And then you have groups of colleagues that's a slightly different dynamic. You sit in the room with them and watch it together, and then you have like a big long lunch that lasts for 4 hours, and everyone's allowed to speak and discuss. And you got to be cautious because people will vary in their opinion, and you can't take it all in. And then we show it to big audiences that don't work with film in a theater, and you sit amongst them, and they laugh. But they laugh and they miss the second part of the joke, so Olivier has extended a bit, or something
Exactly.
like that's really explore. You feel damn shameful and bored through a part of your film. You just feel it in the room, and you're like, oh yeah. Let's cut half of this shit out. You're
Then it gets painful.
Yeah, it's very painful. So we do all of that, and yeah, that's the process.
Wow. I want to end with telling you that as a child of suicide, I was the last person to see my grandfather alive before he hanged himself when I was 8. I truly appreciated the way you handled this particular topic. People are always looking for reasons when often it's all very elusive. And I thank you for that.
Thank you for sharing that. That means a lot to me on a personal level. And yes, our films, several of them are dealing with the similar situations that we have experienced also, many of us that work on these films in different ways. So I really appreciate that you share that. Thank you.
And I appreciate you, both of you, your work.
Thank you.
And, I'm just going to wish you all the best in the coming weeks, if you know what I mean.
Thank you so much. Good talk. Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Ciao.